Okay, now the last thing we want to do then is finally get to the part where we can use the displacement map. So I'm going to just make my render window a little smaller so it's out of the way. Click on the bone, the sternum, and look for the shader. So now I have the shader we put on there, the Arnold standard, AI standard surface, and you notice there's a little arrow right here that stands for output connections. Okay, so there are things connecting that are influencing the output of that shader. When I click on that, it shows me what those things are. And right now, there's really nothing more than the surface, the one we call bone. But there's an option here for displacement map. So I'm going to click on this checker pattern here, and it's showing me all the different things I could possibly use in that displacement category. And the one I want is the file. And when I do that, the file now comes up and I have this displacement shader, and this is the position of it, and there's also the word file here, and now I have a little yellow file icon, and I'm in my sources directory, and I want to be instead in my render data, shaders, new sternum, and let's see what that does. Okay, so now that's added. Now you don't see anything different here or here, but I think if we render it, we'll see a little difference. So there's what we put on. There's what that looks like. So it might be just a little too extreme here. Now if you go to my courses and you go under rendering, and there's a sternum render, you can see what I did with adjusting the lights and the shader. So this is the bone shader. This is with how I adjusted the color and the weights of those things. And then here's what I did with the lights. You can also, let's see what happens if we turn this so it faces the light a little more. Get a little better feel for it there. And what you can do is, like I said, you go back to that shader and you adjust the side that, in this case, the specular, look too light. It may be that my model is just a touch underdeveloped. In other words, it doesn't have quite enough polygons, because I'm seeing a little bit more pixelation than I did on the one earlier. So we can look at that to see if that's a possible issue. If I grab this model, you notice it still has the same number. Just out of curiosity, let's see what happens if we smooth it and then render it. Nah, it looks about the same. So really, I guess what had to happen is I needed to paint in Mudbox at one more level up. I did level 3. I probably should have gone to level 4. Okay, so that's something to keep in mind. The map is fine. The model's fine. It's really just the level, or the number of UVs is just a little too sparse. So you're seeing a little more pixelation than what. I can fix these things very easily. You know how to do that. I can go get the shadows, what I'm talking about. You can adjust the angle and the density on the shadow. But to actually correct that kind of pixelation there, I'm going to have to go back to Mudbox and do it again with a denser pattern. Okay.